Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing like a first impression on something that I've really wanted to try for a super long time. I'm sure you guys already know by the title, but many of you may have heard of the Silicone beauty sponge. It's basically what the title is. It's a beauty sponge made out of silicone. Now this product kind of came out about 6 months ago, I think. If it came out earlier, it didn't really hit the market, or at least I didn't hear about it until about 6 months ago. I know a lot of YouTubers created videos on their first impressions using these types of sponges, and they're really fascinating to me, but I had never personally tried them out. I never got my hands on one. I don't know, it never really happened. So this week Estetica Cosmetics sent me a really sweet PR package. Estetica is that brand of beauty sponges that I use. This is a really dirty one, but this is one of theirs. Any black beauty sponge that you've seen in my videos so far has been the Estetica sponge, and you guys who have been with me for a long time know that I love it. But in their box they also sent over a silicone beauty sponge. So Estetica created their own silicone beauty sponge, so that's what I'm going to be trying today. I'm so excited. I wanted to create a review that was as accurate as it could possibly be, so I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently than what I've seen here on YouTube previously. I'm going to be trying out 4 different foundations, 4 of my favorite foundations, 2 drugstore, 2 high-end foundations that I'm really familiar with, so I'm going to be testing those out with the silicone sponge just to see if, you know, if there's certain types of foundations that it works with or doesn't work with, or maybe it will work with all of them. I don't really know. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So before we get into the actual review video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber of mine, just hit the little bell. That'll just mean you'll be notified when I upload all of my videos, because sometimes YouTube doesn't put videos that you're subscribed to into your subscription. Does that make sense? So if you want to make sure that you don't miss a video, make sure to hit that little bell. And with that being said, let's hop into this. I'm really excited. Okay, so like I said before, this is the silicone beauty sponge that I'll be testing today. It's from Estetica Cosmetics. So it says, I'm just going to read the instructions really quick. It says, apply a small amount of cream or liquid makeup onto sponge or directly onto the skin and blend in a circular motion. Dab to continue blending until your makeup is evenly absorbed into the skin. For precise application, fold silicone sponge to apply makeup around nose, mouth, and eyes. Once application is complete, wash sponge with mild soap and water or a makeup wipe. And then it says, when the sponge shows cracks or signs of wear, discard and replace. So I'm assuming these would last a little longer than your typical beauty sponge. It's a really unique looking device thing. Like, it has a plastic covering on the outside, but it is made of silicone. It's really, really squishy and pliable and kind of fun. So I'm really excited to try this out. So I'm going to start it with drugstore foundations. I'll do one of the drugstore foundations on one side and the other on the other side so that we don't waste foundation. So let's go in first with my Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation. Now, this is a foundation that's a little bit more liquidy. It is long wearing. I love this foundation. The other foundation that I'm going to use is going to be a little bit more long wearing, super matte, you know, super full coverage. So I wanted to kind of try different formulas just to see how they all perform. So this will be our very first impression. Also keep in mind that some of these shades may vary because my skin tone varies quite a bit, and I don't know how perfectly they all will match together, but we'll see. So I'm actually going to combine 2 shades. I'm going to dot a little bit of the 112 Natural Ivory and also 120 Classic Ivory. I'm just going to mix that on my hand. Because this foundation didn't have a pump or anything, I'm just going to dot it and then blend it out with the sponge. I do have some foundations that do have little pumps or an applicator where I can put it directly on the sponge, so we'll try it with that. But let's give it a go. I'm just going to, let's see. So it says to apply it in a circular motion first. So we're going to start with that. What? Weird. Oh my gosh, it feels really crazy. It's just kind of like slips around. What the heck? Circular motion, and then we dab to continue blending until it is buffed into the skin, it says, or absorbed into the skin. I'm not sure how long that will take, but it's a really unique little sponge. I don't know. It's definitely different than my normal sponge. Definitely will take me some getting used to. But I guess one of the benefits of this sponge that I've seen and that I've read is that because it's silicone, it won't absorb product. Like, you'll be able to use all the product that you put on the sponge or put on your face and be able to blend it all out. So that's a huge plus. You won't waste as much product as you maybe would with a normal sponge. Okay, so let's look up close there's some areas that, oh, maybe I just need to press more, because there were some areas that were looking a little streaky, but if you just press down a little more, those seem to go away. That's really not bad. I'm going to try to add a little bit more on top of certain areas just to see how it like builds up. I don't know, why not? This is such a unique little sponge. I hope I'm using the right side. I think I am. I don't know. It is difficult to get around little areas like around my nose. I guess it kind of fits in there a little bit, but maybe I'm just not used to it. I'm not sure how to like hold it. This is super unique. So it actually doesn't look that bad, and there's no product really on the sponge at all, so that makes me know that it's all on my face, which is really nice. As of right now, adding more product made my face look a little bit more like makeup-y, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like this worked. It blended it out. It applied to my face perfectly fine, but when I applied that second layer, I think I just had too much product. And you know, with like the beauty blender or the Aesthetica beauty sponge that I normally use, it just kind of helps you have more control over the amount of product that's going on your face, if that makes sense. So that's one thing that I'm realizing right off the bat, is that you kind of want to have a good idea of how much product you want to use before you start slapping it on your face with this, because it won't absorb anything, which is a plus in a way, but it can be a bad thing in the sense that you have to kind of really accurately guess how much product you're going to want on your face, or maybe just kind of build it up instead of dotting it all over or using as much as you normally would. So that is the side complete. Let's try another foundation. I'm going to use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. Mine is in the shade Shell Beige. Now this one has a little squirt bottle, so I'm going to apply it directly to the sponge this time. I just wipe mine off with a makeup wipe, and I'm just going to put a little bit on there. I'm going to try to build it up a little bit better. So that's what it looks like. Start with circular motions. I really can't figure out how to hold this. For some reason it's difficult for me. I still think I may have grabbed too much product. Dang it. I keep forgetting that I have only a half a face to cover as well, so that may be my own fault. I'm gonna wipe off the sponge. There's just too much product right now on my face. So it said in the instructions you can fold it to apply it like in tough to reach areas, so that's what I'm trying to do. So that is the second foundation. It doesn't look too bad. I'll be honest, it doesn't look too bad. But it just doesn't look as good as I know I could make it look with other tools, if that makes sense. So far I'm not like mad about it, but at the same time I feel like there's better ways for me to get a better finish with the foundations. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to this yet. I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out how to work with it. Maybe it will just take a little bit more practice for me, but so far, you know, it didn't do a terrible job, okay? But at the same time, I'm still like, not sure about it. I do really like the fact that no product gets sucked up though, because essentially you'll be saving a lot of money that way. So maybe in the future I would try maybe applying it with this first as much as I could and going into a beauty sponge after. I don't know, that's kind of another step for your foundation, so if I don't have that much time I might not actually do that in reality, but so far not bad. It's kind of hard to get into the hard to reach areas, but other than that, it works. My face has decent coverage on it, so I'm really happy about that. So those are the drugstore foundations. Let's move into high-end. So I just went ahead and wiped off my face with a makeup wipe, and I also wiped this again with a makeup wipe. I feel like it is nice that it's silicone just because it won't harbor bacteria, so if that's a concern of yours with whatever you use to apply makeup, then you may like that aspect about this. Let's move into high-end foundations, starting with the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation. I love this foundation. This is more of like a watery consistency, so I'm interested to see how this one applies with the sponge. So it has a little drop applicator. I'm just going to put on maybe 3 drops to start. That should be enough for one side of my face. And let's see what happens. I'm going to buff it out in circular motions first. Start to press it into the skin. I kind of have to really press it into the skin to help it blend into the skin nicely, if that makes sense. But that one didn't actually apply too bad. This foundation is more of a medium coverage foundation, so not everything is covered up and I'm just not gonna worry about it. But I like how that one applied so far. Maybe it's because it was a lighter coverage foundation. It was easier to kind of like blend out, if that makes sense, and easier to make look more natural. I feel like the other ones kind of were more difficult to look like real skin, if that makes sense, but they were both a little bit more full coverage than this foundation. So like I said before, if I really press it into the skin, then I find that it kind of makes more of a flawless finish, but otherwise it tends to leave lines around, so I do have to use a little bit more pressure definitely with this than in with a normal beauty sponge, but that's just what I've noticed. Okay, so let's go into the last foundation. I'm going to use the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. This one is a super full coverage foundation. We will see how this one applies. It's going to take a tiny amount on the back of my hand. I'm going to do a few dots on the face, and let's see how this one works. Okay, so that is the Estee Lauder foundation. Okay, don't get me wrong, it definitely works, I guess, for what it claims to do. It definitely, you know, applies your makeup. But so far for me personally, I feel like this isn't something that I would realistically reach for every day. Like, it doesn't excite me enough and like look so good to where I would want this type of finish and look in my foundations. I think it's an incredible concept. I think it's really, really cool, really sanitary, just really like different and unique. So I like that part about it. But so far, I don't know if I'm like crazy about it, to be honest. I'm going to try to blend out another cream product with this. I don't know if this was designed to blend out other products other than foundation, but I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to go into the Benefit Hoola Kwikki Contour Stick. Let's see how cream products blend out over top of these foundations. I'll try it on both of these just to see. So I think I'm going to fold it in half maybe. Okay, so that wasn't like terrible, but again, it's not like an impeccable, you know, performance. I feel like I've been able to get that with a brush or a sponge, and honestly, I feel like I could blend some of these things out with my fingers almost better. Okay, so let me talk about my opinion really quick. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you guys to see kind of different foundations and different products being used with this sponge. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how I feel about this, so I'm just gonna give it to you straight. Like I said before, really cool concept, really cool like shape and material. I think it's really awesome that it doesn't harbor bacteria. I love the fact that it doesn't waste your product, and it does work. It really does. I mean, you can see it on my face. It looks fine, you know, things are blended out. I was able to work with it. But for me personally, this isn't something that I would reach for all the time. I would probably just keep using my normal Aesthetica beauty sponge, just because I feel like I'm able to have more control and kind of like really work it into the skin. Maybe that's because the sponge is wet when I use it. It kind of helps blend, you know, the foundation into the skin better. You know, even when you use your hands, I feel like the warmth from your fingers kind of helps melt the product into your skin, where this kind of keeps like a barrier between that, which isn't a bad thing, you know what I mean? But for me personally, to get the finish that I like and the control that I want, this isn't something that I would necessarily reach for on a daily basis. And I'm just being honest. Like, I think it's really cool. I think it's a fun idea, but like realistically, I'm picturing myself just not really reaching for this all the time, just because I'm not like crazy about it. And maybe I just need to practice, you know? I may come back to you guys down the road and, you know, have a different opinion on this. Maybe I just need to try it out a little more. Like I said, you know, it didn't perform terribly. It definitely like works, but it's just not my favorite way to apply foundation. So also, as far as the different foundations go, I feel like the lighter coverage foundations actually looked a little bit nicer and were easier to work with the sponge. I don't know. I just feel like the ones that were meant to be more full coverage were harder to press into the skin and kind of make look as natural as possible, if that makes sense. I did notice a slight difference in how, you know, medium coverage foundations applied versus the more full coverage. So personally, I liked these two better than the full coverage. I feel like with the full coverage foundations, I definitely like to use a sponge or a brush to kind of really help it look as natural as possible. I guess as a final thought, if you guys are interested in this, it obviously, hopefully you could see that it does work. But for me personally, just my opinion, maybe don't waste your money on a sponge that to me doesn't seem like practical for everyday use, but instead maybe grab just the normal beauty sponge, because this thing has never failed me. I love the Aesthetica beauty sponge. That is it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful. Please let me know in the comments below if you guys have tried one of these and what your thoughts and opinions are on them. Do you love it? Do you not? Let me know what your thoughts are. We can have a little discussion down below. Also, please leave a comment letting me know what other things you would like for me to try, because I love creating these types of videos for you guys. I love to kind of do first impression reviews on foundations and cool beauty tools. Just let me know what you guys would like to see in the comments. I really love reading those, and I want to be able to make videos that you guys want to see. So yeah, once again, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye!